حجارة راجل ونصف الحوريات. يسعدني هذا المساء باسم إدارة الفنون مؤسسة خالد شومان أن أرحب بالدكتور فواز الخريشة مدير عام دائرة الآثار، والدكتور بيير بقاعي الذي أمضى 15 عاما من العمل في الآثار وفي البتراء تحديدا، وقدم الكثير. أرحب بكم وبهما هذا المساء في هذه المحاضرة التي تجيء ضمن نشاطاتنا المرافقة لمعرض إرث الصحراء. فأهلا وسهلا بكم وأهلا وسهلا بهما دائما.
Good evening, everybody. You see, technology and high technology nowadays.
Thank you.
Technology and high technology nowadays is a little bit complicated. You have your folder, and you have your mobile, and you have the flash memory, everything. For a visual like me, it's a little bit complicated. Pierre and I, we had decided to give a lecture, a joint lecture, to speak about the Safavidic goodwill and the present, and about the origin of those secrets. We have plenty of them, thousands of those inscriptions in the Jordanian desert and in other surrounding countries, where they are, how much important they are for the Arab before Islam, what we can learn from them. This part I will talk shortly about it, but here we will later on speak about one side and what he had found in that side. My lecture is going to be a little bit general, as I said. The first discovery for those inscriptions or those kind of writing, it was going back to the exactly 1887-86, when a consul, consul in Damascus, had visited southern Haran or southern Syria, especially Haran in Jabal Safar, just to close between Jabal Cruz, or what we are calling now Jabal Arab, and Damascus. By that time, during the normal visit, he found the inscriptions or writing, and he wasn't able to discover, understand those inscriptions or read them. Till 1940, the scholars, they had finished identifying the secrets and understand all of them. The last scholars who had worked hardly in it, started by Gowdy, Gruber, etc. But Liebman, he was the one, the German scholar who had finished the discovering the secrets or understanding the inscriptions. People, they found out that those secrets, after they know them, that they belongs to the Arab, a kind of a dialect which is close to the Arab language nowadays. We are sure that from at least the 4th century BC up to the 5th century AD, that there is a lot of secrets for the Arabs in the Arabian Peninsula and a part of Bilad al-Sham and even in Iraq and the Gulf State. They were using a lot of kinds of secrets, but they are writing in different kinds of dialects or local dialects like nowadays. I can name a lot of them. We are coming to the Northern Arabia, Syriac inscription, Anaim inscription, etc. It's another dialect close to the Ethiopian language nowadays. But the secret now tells us that it is similar, this Safavidic secret, to the South Arabian secret. Anyhow, all of those secrets, they came from definition secrets, or from what we are calling sometimes Northwestern Semitic languages, secret in general. If we are coming to the middle of Arabia, then we have the Dardanelles, the Ahyanat script, which is not far away from but it differs from the Safaitic script. And later we will find the Tamudic scripts, which some scholars, they are going back with them, dating them back to the 5th and 6th century BC, the ancient of them. The Tamudic script, actually, it is too close to the Safaitic script, but it differs from it, from the language, from the context, etc. And we found sometimes that very good scholars and very prominent scholars, they mix between Safaitic and Tamudic sometimes. And even in the late 80s and 90s, there is a lot of debate where is the Safaitic and where is the Tamudic script, or how we can differ from them. Anyhow, the Safaitic inscriptions, they are going, if we are speaking about the area where scholars have found them, from the Haram, Rabha, Saudi Arabia, from this area, and it goes back westward or northwestward till the Hara and southern Syria. Other secrets was found in northern Jordan and eastern Jordan, and in Beiyer or southern Jordan we find Safaitic and Tamudic inscriptions together. Sometimes in the same stone we find both of them, but not as a bilingual inscriptions of the between two brackets saying that. We found them in the same camp. Anyhow, the most important area for the inscription is Harrat Bilad Sham, or what we are calling the 11th area of Bilad Sham in general, which is in Syria and in Jordan. There is thousands of Safaitic inscriptions were found in this area, or in this area. If we are saying the 2nd or the 3rd century BC till the 4th or even the 3rd century, AD, then the era is a little bit long, 5-6 centuries long. Then we find that a lot of different, can I have the second slide please? You will find so a kind of double script or another kind of script. Actually, from my point of view, we have different kind of scripts. Some tribes, some Arabic tribes or some Safaitic tribes, they were using just one kind of script. I will show the other slide. Excuse me, Saha. The Hanan area, actually if we are speaking about Iraq and the Iraq area, the Eastern of Iran, they have found Tamudic and Safaitic inscriptions bilingual. And I will discover Nabataean Safaitic bilingual one. But saying Nabataean, one of the inscriptions which is found by Safawi Eastern desert of Jordan, most of you they know it. There is one inscription where it was written in Safaitic, script and language, and the guy he had mentioned that he belongs to the Nabataean, which means that some of the Nabataean people, they were using the same script. Other kind of inscriptions they were found. This is the most important discovery actually in Bombay, Italy. They discovered it in the 90s, but some graphics and names, Arab names, they were found there in a Safaitic script. It's not unusual because the Arabs, they were merchants, they were going here and there, and they had work in the military, in the Roman and the Byzantine military. It's very normal to find such kind of crafty and script. It would be abnormal if we didn't find it. Sorry. This is the very normal secret, but I used to say this is the life secret. One of the tribes. By the way, most of the inscriptions, while they are saying even in books, they were published with the title the Safaitic Bedouin. The most important issue with the inscription, if they are long, usually the people, they ended their names, their genealogies, by saying that he is belonging to the tribe so and so. And we had counted over 50 tribes in those inscriptions, different tribes. Some they are major tribes, others they are sub-tribes or clans, where the people they are belonging to. And usually the Arabs, they are taking a lot of care for the genealogy and where they are belonging to. Directly, the people they are saying those they are Bedouin because they are taking care about the genealogy, they are raising camels, they are feeding their goats and sheep in the desert. And where the inscriptions they were found in the desert or in the barrier between two branches, those are the reasons why they are saying the Safavidic Bedouin unusual. This is, excuse me, this is another kind of secret. Directly you can see it differs from the other one, from the normal one. They were writing their inscription from right to left or from left to right. This is another story because actually they are writing in stones and it depends how you are looking to the stone. Then you are saying this, this and that. But most of the inscriptions they were written in a strophic way, like zigzag or in a circle, if they are long. Some of the inscriptions they are short without any information, but here this is the ancient secret or what we are calling Bible secret. Can I say another one? Yes. Here in the stone you will find, and I'm sure that Bikai is going to show us more slides where we can find a lot of inscription in the same stone, not just one inscription. Can I see another one? Some of the inscriptions they have a circle around. We didn't know if it is a habit, and here you can see this is a different kind of secret. It's not the same secret, it's more clear. Here it's obvious, goes that way. The subject of those inscriptions, actually they are memorable, most of them, or the majority of them, they are just a memorial inscriptions saying X and son of Rajl, he was feeding his camels or he was passing here, just based on it. The date from the inscription themselves, I want to throw it from all of the published inscriptions. We didn't find any exact date where you can say, for instance, 1921, this and that. Till now, we didn't find any inscriptions like that. But they have used the word Sana in the year of, and they mentioned either prominent people, sometimes we are thinking about the Nabatean kings, or they are dating in the year that they built the temple of Cairn in Syria, and we know the year it is 34 or 35 BC. We know it from other sources. This is the date which we are dealing to. But in general, most of the inscriptions they are saying are very personal issues. Sometimes they are mentioning, for instance, general things like in the year of the snow or in the year of the flood. This is general things, and this is one of the reasons again that they are thinking they are people. They are not highly educated people. But I didn't know if we are saying they are not that highly educated people. Why they are writing the inscription? Where they have learned it? Why would you have thousands of those inscriptions? A lot of questions here and there. In buildings, till now we didn't find, for instance, any building we excavated it to find an inscription here. This is another matter. But anyhow, this is a kind of secret where some of the people they are thinking this is the ancient secret, and then they develop their secret. But this is again, it needs more and more study. One of the major issues in the inscription sorry, that we found a lot of drawings compared with the inscription. Sorry, I didn't mention that they have mentioned a lot of their deities and goddesses in their inscriptions. And you find sometimes that the tribe, they are mentioning just one god. Other tribes, they are mentioning a lot of gods. We didn't know to which period they are related. Are they started with one god and then there was a kind of unification and they have mentioned their goddess together? I'm saying that because we have an example in Mecca before Islam, that first we do have just one god for each tribe, and then later on they collected all of the goddess and they put them in the Kaaba or in Mecca, and they said it is a sacrifice place for all of the Arab tribe, for all of the Arab tribe. Do we have something like that or similar to that with the Safavid Bedouin? It is another question. Because we are not able to date the inscription and have a right chronology about them. This is another issue. But back to this photo, to this slide, usually there is a lot of drawings. Most of the nice drawing is that the hand drawings. And here we can see, and by the way, the inscription here is one of the very rare inscriptions where the picture or the drawings and the inscription they are combined together. He's speaking about the hand, the inscription. Usually you have, for instance, other inscription, this camel is belongs to X or X, but not as a topic. Here we have the topic. It's a very nice drawing, and we see the artist, how he had draw the gazelles, and you see that other gazelles they are here. Unfortunately, this slide is not that clear, but one he had mentioned that he had used the dog with him. I don't know what's the right word of Zunuki, the wind dog, or something like that. So, exactly. Another here we can see the lions and the gazelle that they are chasing some of the animals which they were the object of the hunt for the Bedouin dancing. Excuse me. Okay. This is another one. This is another topic actually. Yeah, in the drawings, if we are studying the drawings and the inscriptions together, we can come to some result to understand the society, the life of the people, etc. This is a very prominent one. It was published in the 70s by Mr. Hardy, and the word Zamara is here. A guy is there. It's not clear in the slide, but you see that naked lady is singing with a flute, and he said that is the Mara or the lady, the singer, is belonging to Aqra. That's his name, that's his first name. But it is not just that this is the only drawing. We didn't have that much, but at least we have some of them. We can see another one where the people, all of them, they are dancing and they are artistic, but the inscription is saying that something, it was a very nice year, a lot of rain and good spring, and then they are dancing. It might be this one of the habits by the people that they have an occasion to dance together. We see the camel here and two ladies, a man, a tall man, and then here we can see a lot of people dancing together. It's like nowadays, and you can see it in the Mecca, right? This is this. And both scriptures they are speaking about the Mecca. Yeah, this is one of the most. If we are going to account to have statistic for the drawing, first you will have the camel. First, hundreds of inscriptions. They are just there's a depiction for camel, and they are giving any drawings and Indian inscriptions all the time, different kinds of camels. They are speaking about sheep camel, small camels, big camels, etc. And they differ. The ostriches in the area, by the way, like my mother, she is now over 65, around 70, she told me when she was a child that their grandfather, he has an ostrich at home. Dawji and the other travelers and the Huber, they were speaking and they had some photos about the ostriches in Arabia and Wadi Sirhan and by Israel and that area. There's a lot of speech and a lot of information about the ostriches till the beginning of the last century. It was not that rare. And in 1993, a friend of mine from the Union of Operation, he told me that he has seen an ostrich, a white one, by the way, because I had asked him and I went to the area and we found some of the rishons and we found it. He has seen it in the area between Rajl and Safawi. I was thinking it might be from what we are calling the reservoir in Azrael or something, but in the reservoir we didn't have white one, we had the black one. In the area, from what I have heard, mostly it is the white one, not the black one. This is the tradition which I know. But in these pictures we found them, and then we see gazelles and other animals around the again. Horse rider chasing gazelle. This is a very rare one. I would like to say, from my knowledge, the only one where we do find a Safavidic guy is chasing a rabbit. Whereas rabbits, they are very common in the Hara area till nowadays. And they didn't mention it in the inscriptions. I'm saying that. And until now, I didn't find any inscription where they have mentioned the rabbit or they are chasing it except this one. And this is from the Safawi area. Excuse me. This is another issue. Nowadays, people didn't spoke about lion in the Hara region, but in the inscriptions and in the drawing which they are combining the inscriptions there is a lot of inscriptions and drawings which they are speaking about the lion. And even one of the inscriptions is saying that he was wounded by a lion in Namara. Namara is close to the Jordanian border to Syria. Other depictions which we didn't have here, that people they were using the glue and blowing the area, and you can see that they were using donkeys, camels, and boys and horses, not just one kind of animal to pull the air, to blow the air. Thank you. Yeah, this is what we are thinking. It's not clear. I'm sorry for that.
That is clear in your screens.
So it looks like that they were using what we call shabaka, a net for the hand. It's the only one which I know, but unfortunately it's not that clear in this slide. Anyhow, I leave the floor to Beier to give us an example where you will find in one side, in some cairns, that much of drawings and inscriptions, and you can understand what is going on. I didn't mention the role of the ladies and the women because Bikai is going to talk about it. Bikai, the floor is yours.
So this handout I'm offering to you, it has some pictures that I don't have slide of, and still on the old using the slide projector, which and some pictures that will explain some of these photos that I don't have slides for. I have them all now on digital form, but they will be later used in other collections. You should have two pages, one with a map on the back and a family tree, and one page with this photo of
So there are
the
2 pages
site.
to have them?
There are 2 pages of it. If you don't have it, get another one. Somebody didn't print
Well, we should have,
in the back.
the back there, I don't know.
I didn't send you anything. Anyway, before I start, I wanted to thank Mrs. Stashman for organizing this event and the exhibition. I must also mention the fabulous job of Pierre M. He did on the installation of the exhibit a wonderful job that you all see. And I would like to thank Dr. Fawwaz al-Khraysheh for his support of the project and that of his department. The site of Rajl, can I have the site of Rajl is situated in Jordan Eastern Desert, which is sometimes called the Black Desert, as the area is filled with black volcanic rock. Over the millennium, groups of rocks became attracted to the nomad of the desert, and they arranged the stones into circles and into groups called Cairn, or Rajl. In Jordan, there are thousands of cairns in a variety of sizes. Some of them have more than 100 stones with inscribed text and figure on them, while others have no more than a few, and a large number of the mounds have no marks on the stones at all. You have a picture of one on the paper I gave you with people standing on it, so you can see approximately the size of these stones. Several long boulders, walls, and corral-like structure representing possible game traps can be seen in the vicinity of some of these installations. The cairns themselves are a pile of stones in a cone shape. They are called Rajl from the Arabic and from Hebrew verb form to stone, rajama, to stone someone. They can be of different sizes, but average size is around 5 meters in diameter by 1.5 meters in height. The function of these cairns is not yet established. Some investigators see them as a sort of desert lighthouse, or as rallying point, as camping site, or as burial site. The drawing on the stone include wild animals such as ostriches, oryx, deer, onagers, cat, and ibex. These reflect the environment of the time. Domesticated animals included camel. This is a beautiful deer. And that's an onager. And those are mouflons. And that's a lion attacking an animal. So domesticated animal, as you see, the camel is more likely presented, as Dr. Fawaz said, the horse, and or a combination of those. This one is very important because it mentioned the name of different person, and they were presented as a gift. So this one is a Balal bin Nasr, وله ناقة, and he is presenting a camel to Balal. And in the upper one, لعاتكة بن أبشر وله فرس. So it is different, he's presenting this to different people and different names. So there is so much debate about the la in the beginning of this letter, whether it is from or for, but it's more likely it's for. So he is leaving it for somebody who will come to the site and see these things. In the course of the survey of the area of Jabal al-Mukalla, this is a double-humped camel which is very rarely seen, and they were using it. And Of course, we do have some with new ladies standing with several texts sometimes. This has 2 texts on it. In the course of the survey of the area of Jabal al-Mukalla, which is surrounded by Cairn al-Mukalla, lowland, Dr. Leslie Quintero and Philip Wilkie relocated a site that has been seen previously by Dr. Alison Betts, when she was also documenting prehistoric site. At this site, there are a large number of cairns. Surrounding these are numerous stones with carving of figure and Semitic inscription. This one, it is a hunting scene, and it says to his friend, and go hunt. He is on the horse right here, which is not very clear. And
You have a microphone.
they are up here with a lancet, and this man tried to hunt the animal, and that's his friend. So as you can see the stick in his hand hitting the oryx in the back. They asked me if I would be interested in such a site, and that began our survey in the area. The site was named Rajl 3 by Dr. Bett, but it is currently nicknamed the Cairn of the Mermaid. It is a spectacular rock art site with beautiful drawing of animals, men, women figures on horseback, archers hunting oryx, lions, and ibex. In August 2005, excavations were conducted at the site under my directorship as archaeologist with the help of Dr. Jerome Rose, anthropologist, and Dr. Philip Wilkie, a historian. The Department of Antiquity representative was Stalin Gab, and we have a group of photographers, among them is Chris Tutter, Adam Nasser, and Mr. Muasher is a great photographer, and we had Jihad, Gaddafi, and Ahmed Moumani. We took about 2,000 pictures. The site is covered with inscribed text in a very small distance, about 10 miles. We have about over 18 cairn, and some of them have over 100 inscribed stones with figures and everything. The excavation were an effort to determine whether the site was used for burial, but none of that was found. The site is located in the northeastern part of Jordan, circa 40 kilometers east of the town of Azraq. The site itself is located on Jabal al-Mukalla, and they pronounce it Muqalla, along part of the valley called Wadi Rajl. Into this valley, water drained during the rainy season and formed lakes in flat bottom area called Cairn or basin. The water may stay for several days before it runs into the deeper water runway or absorbed into the ground. However, in many places, the water can stay for much longer time in natural pool or damp area, or because of the clay layer in the soil that slows absorption. The cairn of the mermaid is along the sandy shore of one of these dry lakes. The site is spread on the cliff and on top of the hill, covered by shiny black volcanic stone. Towards the east of the lake, the site has several cairns as well as round and rectangular structure with round and curved corner. These are spread over the wide area, and possibly they were used as animal place to put their animal, and they used to camp around them. You can see them here and here. It's very dark photo. This is the car. You can see it way behind there, how flat it is, and the sand covered it becomes like a sea in winter when it rains. But the water won't stay long time there. Opposite our site to the west of the water runway is a bare land covered with gravel, but if water were available, it could be used for agriculture. Vincent Clark describes the area as a desolate and forbidding wasteland strewn with myriad basalt boulder, is undoubtedly one of the most unhospitable tract of land on the surface of the earth. This writer called it the Martian land, while Dussault, in his article Le Relevé du Capitaine Rees, suggests that la désolation qui règne dans ce désert était moins grande dans l'Antiquité car des installations bâties et nombreux puits avaient été émanagés. He thinks that there was wells of water and there were dams that they can serve the people in antiquity, and this is what Leslie Quintero believes, so that there are lots of water they see been trapped by natural dam or by lake that can stay for several months, water available for the tribe person. But she recorded temperature up to 125 Fahrenheit, and that was the hottest day they ever recorded. It gets very hot in the summer. On the 77 stone analyzed, there are 98 different inscribed texts. This is only from this one cairn, all in Semitic, which belong to the North Arabian branch of South Semitic script. The language is an Old Arabic colloquial type that was used by the tribes of the Eastern Jordan Desert. The largest of our texts has 84 letters, and this is considered a long text because the Semitic, they don't have very large text yet. Some 37 of the stones have figures, what appear to be tribal marks, and the 7 dots are included in most of the drawing. This has several texts here. One of them has 5 different texts on one stone. This is with also new ladies with their hair plants in the air, and they are standing, but they are surrounded by inscription. And you can see that they are drawn before they did the writing, because the writing goes around them most of the time. This is the tribal marks that they leave on these rocks. In general, the stone reflect messages left by members of the tribe for related persons or other tribes who pass through the site during their seasonal routes or during their travel for trade purposes. So far, the name list included no less than 112 different persons. Now the number is over 120. 74 of them belong to one family consisting of 13 generations. We have the family tree, and we have to add one more row of family in this generation. There are now 13. The largest group is related to Basa or Rasa, but it's more likely Basa. But the B and the R are the same way written, so it's not easy to distinguish between them as much as to distinguish between the F and the Gain and the Sheen. They almost very close to each other, so sometimes the writers, they don't know the difference. Sometimes they make mistakes also because they don't remember the letter. Usually they are taught by their father in the tent, and so they can make lots of mistakes. Basa, who is not the oldest of the family, rather the fifth from the top, see the family tree attached. The second group can be compiled from 3 texts with 9 different names from the tribe of Amun. Now this Amun tribe is much bigger. And a third list from 1 text with 14 generations and 1 text that belonged to the tribe of Ras. The texts were written or belong to the era of the last 3 generations. Why? Of each group. The 3 groups may be contemporaneous with each other. It is suggested here that the group moved to the area during the 10th generation to the 13th generation. Because most of the person who wrote the text or to whom the texts are addressed or those who cause sorrow, some places they say, "Wajama," which means I grieve for, or somebody who died, they're giving a message, little ta'ziyah, I condolence, belong to the last 3 generations, all the names mentioned. The largest list of person names belong to the 12th generation with 21 personal names. So if we look at the 12th generation, this is not a complete one what you have, but we have 21 generations. But by the time we get to the 13, it is 10, the number gets much lower. And this, in my view, it's an indication that the people at the time of the end of the Byzantine era, and many places were abandoned, and I think they start moving in. And here in Dar al-Funun, in the church, in the porch of the church, in the mosaic, we found several tombs with Safavidic inscription, with the burial. They brought from the desert, because we don't have them here. And one of them was completely sitting by the tomb with coins dating to the end, about 94 AD. Coin, first coin of Arabic, is written in Arabic and in Greek, written in Damascus. But it looks like they were start coming, the church was abandoned, they lived in it here, and you can see this product in a small museum in the Dara downstairs. The oldest person who died or caused sadness belonged to the 9th generation. And another text mentioned the sadness about his grandson and 3 of his grandsons of the 13th generation. There are no texts mentioning sadness mourning for earlier generations. So early names are nothing, we don't find anything, anybody talking about them unless they are listed in the list. So it can be assumed that those earlier generations passed away before those stones were engraved. The texts of these cairns are generally in Safavidic, but some cairn near the cairn of the Mermaid have Arabic text and in Kufic. I don't have a slide of it, but we have beautiful Kufic writing on one of them. And lately I found one dated to 735 AD, was the year the person died. So it means this is in the Ayyubic period, people were still also engraving, and even we have modern ones today that they are written there. And this would be in the time of that era, the Ayyubic period, maybe from the writing, the style of the text. But it is not Kufi. One can also suggest that Wadi Rajl, which connects the Wadi Sirhan to Safa and Azraq, and to the east is connected to Burqa and Ratba, a route along which most of the cairns are situated, could have been used by caravans for trade or sometimes to escape taxation imposed by the ruling empire. These routes today, even with the high-tech border patrol, are still the most active route for smugglers. So if you want to go there, be careful. It's a very dangerous area. It's not an area where somebody can go. Some of the texts, I will read you 2 of them. That's from the Abban, son of Akal, son of Akhtar, son of Ma'ad, son of Abjar, and I grieve or silently with anger for his son, and for Tahasin, and for Zabad, son of Shamlan, son of Ghani, all Dushara, great compensation and easy prey. And things of that sort, some are much smaller one, for Tang, son of Nasr, son of Utum, son of Amlash, son of Bin Za'in, son of Nimr, son of Basa, and I stayed the winter in the place and I built on the cairn. The cairn is Al-Awas, and I will talk about that in a while. So similar text, I'm not going to read many of them. There is one of them that is mentioned, new things للكم, son of Shahdad, son of Rizan, son of Aminat, son of Wa'ila, son of Awas, and I read for Ma'yar, and for Awas, and for Radwa, and for Sir from the Basa tribe, and I built a grave and I put a stone. وبني or وابني أنفس واستر. A sitter put a stone on the tomb, but we didn't find tombs there, so it is something that was left as a message of condolences to the other when they come by and they would see that was left for them. There is a similarity between the Jewish tradition and the Arabian tribes in relation to stones. They see God in the stone, possibly because that's the only thing they have around them in the desert. In Islam, God is called, it's coming from Silam, I'll talk about it. It is Silam because it does not get affected by diseases, and it is strong and solid. And also in Judaism, there's many of this, but it has also many meaning as it is in Arabic. So if we look at the Bible, strictly speaking, among the earliest mention of Cairn in the Bible and by the Arab historian indicate different function and purposes. Jacob, when he left his father-in-law Abraham, Jacob took a stone and set it up as a monument. Jacob said to his kinsmen, collect some stones, and gathering some stone, they made a cairn. They had a meal there, and the cairn on the cairn, and Laban called it Yegar Shahad Musa, from Shahid in Arabic later it becomes, which Jacob called it Gali, or Laban said, may this cairn be a witness between us today. That is why he named it Gali, and also Misbah, because he slaughtered on it. كما سفك فوق الناس دم ناسك فوق الرجل. In the Arab is mentioned this a lot because he said, let Yahweh act as watchman between us when we are no longer in sight of each other. The word Misbah means altar, the place of sacrifice, and Jil'al Hebrew or Arabic means strong, solid, hard, an adjective used for the stone, as-silam. Jacob Hatuja is possibly from the Hagar al-Shahid in Arabic, upright stone as a tombstone as a witness, they put it today. Al-Azhari in Tahzib al-Lugha and Al-Jawhari in Al-Sahah and Ibn Mandur in the Lisan all agree that the cairn are stone put together as marks or erected on ancient burial. The Arab before Islam used to circumambulate around the cairn in imitation of the house, the Kaaba. Those who also committed adultery, they were be stoned in the Bible or by the Arabic tradition. The same tradition in Islam, the adultery is punished by stoning. The Muslims during the pilgrim in Mecca do stone the devil as one of the steps during the Hajj al-Rajl. The cairn as a burial place is well documented from texts in poetry and in many other verses. One of them asked, لا ترجموا قبري. And one said, الذي لا أخونه حتى أغيبه بالرجم. Which means it was used as a burial too. So they were different functions for the cairn as a place of sacrifice, as a witness, and as a burial. 7 times in pre-Islamic where they used to circumambulate around the region. The Arab glorify Mecca, this is before Islam, that they used to do the pilgrimage, the Hajj and the Umrah to the house. They circumambulate, and when they desire to leave, one would take a stone from the haram, carved it like an idol of the house, behave with affection during his travel, and to it will direct his prayer, and will circumambulate around it, anoint it, pray for it in the same way as they do for the idol of the house. Later, they used to take the stone from the haram, they worship it, and this was the origin of stone worshipping of the Arab in their homes, filled with ardent passion for the idols of the haram. This is, you can find it in Al-Buldan in about Mecca entry. The stone text and figure, the circular building, which is, you have a picture of it. This is Rajl 3. You can see what we have. Circular building where most of the petroglyphs are scattered should have a function. The historical background first, as we mentioned about, the Arab used to do the tawaf, circumambulation, around the Cairn in pre-Islamic period. A similar tawaf is also known around the dawar, they call it, the circumambulation place. Dawar is an idol the Arab used to erect, and they built a place around it for their circumambulation. The name of the place is Dawar, and it is mentioned by al-Qais in his poetry describing the hunt. فَعَنَّ لَنَا سِرْبٌ كَأَنَّ نِعَاجَهُ عَزَارَ دوار في ملاء مذيل. They were, he describes the girls, the herd of young calves, they presented itself during the hunt as if they were versions of the duwar in their long-tailed dress. By calf he means the female cow. He describes their walk and their long tail as version circumambulating around the idol in the long tailed dress. One of the stone artwork present a circumambulation, which is, you have it in your hand. This is RCM figure 55 on the top. It's not easy to get a picture of it, so it will not show in the slide. But with the print, it shows very well. You can see a circle of people doing the circumambulation, as you've seen with the slides of Dr. Fawaz, with people making a circle. One of the stone artwork presents circumambulation, scene indicating a practice of that sort was done on the site, which is 55 years picture you have in your hand. Second figure portrays a woman in a long dress as if it was wearing the dirham they used in Mecca. It has been said about the Quraysh that they imposed on all the Arabs that when they enter the haram, they should take off their clothes of arrival, thiyab al-hal, and replace it with thiyab al-haram, replace it by the haram wear. They can get it as a gift, buy it, or donate it. Otherwise, they circumambulate around the house nude. This is before Islam. They impose on Arab women the same rules. However, women used to circumambulate with an open dress from front and back. It's called الدرع المفرش المقاديم والمآخير. And while circumambulating a woman named Duba'a said, اليوم يبدو اسمه أو كله وما بدا منه فلا أحله أعقب الكعب بات ظله كأن أحمى خيبر تمله. So they said that the Prophet wanted to marry her, but when he heard she said that, he changed his mind because she said this kind of word. Some Tabari, he said because she was old. And whatever is shown, she said, today part of it appear, and whatever is shown I will not allow. This is mentioned in Yaqut on the subject of Mecca. And Ibn Hisham also mentioned it, and also the Tabari. In the hadith, the women used to circumambulate in the house nude, saying, who will lend me a dirham or a circumambulation dress? And this was Ibn Mandur to cover herself. Among the artwork in our side, women are portrayed nude, but those they may have no relation to the circumambulation. Rather, they represent a different subject. With the arrival of Islam, this kind of practice was forbidden. in the text of the Cairn of the Mermaid, we can find the use of different verbs, wajama and bania and shatia, usayya, to hunt, to greet and to build, are new verbs like razama, to yarn, and daba'a, to sneak in hunting, or satara, to put a stone, and yajal, or leave the tribe, or yajal, respect is. So those are not used commonly, we don't find them everywhere. There's the use of the word jamal, bakra, nabat, and qanat, which means the bakra al-wahshiyah, the white cow, with the drawing of a girl or a girl and a camel may indicate a play with the word. The Arab used to surname the women as cow, ewe, cat, deer, gazelle, and this is common also in English, which we call her pussycat in many places. One of the most common words used are salam and awas. Ibn Manzur said that the salam was not used before Islam to salute because it was used for zidad by saying alaykum as-salam. You don't expect an answer from them, as in the Quran says وَإِذَا خَاطَبَكُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قُولُوا سَلَامًا, which means to be free from guilt and suspicion. No good or evil between us. When we say salam, there is no war or shar between us. The Arab used to salute by أَنَعِ صَبَاحًا and أَبَيْتَ اللَّعْنَةً. And the meaning of salam, there is no war between us. As-salim was silam is the stone, and istilam al-hajar, to kiss or touch the stone. Sibawai said istilama from salam, and Ibn al-Sakit istalama al-hajar is from silam, the stone, like iktahala from the kahl. Al-Qutaybi said that I have about istilam al-hajar is a verbal form of as-salam, the salute, and istalamahu is to be touched by the hand for blessing. The Yemenite calls the black rukn al-Kaaba al-Muhayya, salam, which means the people used to salute by as-salam. As we mentioned, supra, the Arab used to circumambulate around the Cairn built by these hard stones as salam. And when we have in our text a repetition of the terminology salama wa baniya al-awas, al-awas huwa al-abad, it is a substitute to mean, but until today it has a relation with the condolences. We say al-awad bi salamatkum, and we say awas, from it came mu'asad, nuwasi baytulan, we go to give condolences. So it is origin, it has something to do with the hours, and putting the stone on the hours is part of the old tradition that they put in reflecting their consolidation together and leaving something for the relative or whoever can come to see it. And so our place, it cannot be anything else as a place of gathering where the tribe used to come and meet and have their ceremonial stuff that they do in circumambulating, leaving messages to each other and leaving condolences when they heard that someone died from the family or so on. It's a place where they stayed, of course, for a short time, but it seemed a fun place where they enjoyed to be in the area where the water is available and the grazing for their animal. And thank you very much. So if you have any questions to Dr. Fawaz, please go ahead. I will answer some questions.
First of all, thank you so very much for the lecture. Both of you did an excellent job I have a couple of questions. First of all, I'm wondering, where do you plan to exhibit the stories that you found in Rajl? Because there's the exhibition temporary, I assume, in the floor. Do you have plans to exhibit somewhere in any of the museums, or do you have plans for that?
Yeah, thus we consider the
Can you repeat the question?
movable.
Repeat the
Yeah.
question.
No.
We can't hear it in the back.
Well, she is saying what's going to happen to the store we have here in the exhibition. Are we going to have a special exhibition for them in museum? Mrs. Shoman offered to give the whole installation the way it is for the Department of Antiquity, and they can use it. The purpose of bringing it here is the agreement of Dr. Fawaz, because we were scared they are people, we can go and damage them, and they are transformable. So we brought them here for this exhibition, and later, if nothing happened, they're going to go to other community museums, and they're going to be there. This is what we agreed upon.
Okay.
Know that there's any other place that where the petroglyphs occur with the writing. Are you aware of any other place in the world where you have writing that dates to the time the petroglyphs were made? Because you got the pictures, the writing actually refers to those pictures, so you know that they're associated.
Very few dated from the later period. But in general, the site itself, this site, in walking distance, very short distance, we have thousands, and it's like a museum in the open air. And it's incredible, the preservation and the artistic background of this tribe. You can notice the writing is beautiful, the drawing are beautiful, and it's every word can be read. It's not all ambiguous to read and to see it. And it looks like they have variation of things with this circular things, hair, and you walk from one to another in a distance of like 10 kilometers, you will see about 3,000 petroglyphs. But some are very close to each other that you can see at least 2,000 in one small area where Chris, where is Chris? He ran. He was photographing, Jihad was photographing with us. Everyone took like 400 pictures in a matter of 2 hours. We were going to rush it, we were going to get the cover of part of it. But it's very short distance.
Yeah. One other question. What is the oldest that you have, for which you managed to establish a date where you have the writing associated with the petroglyph?
He does talk about
Actually, there is, excuse me, Dr. Coleman, and we haven't seen each other since 2 years now. Respect to welcome that. Thank you for the question. Actually, we have to define between petroglyph as a process of the writing development and the petroglyph which they are combining the inscriptions or those inscriptions. If the question is about the development of script, where it has started by drawings and then syllabus, etc., etc. This is another story. But here we are dealing with people. This is one of the explanation of this story. Yeah, it's more than 100 years, I think, or around a century or more. That there was an idea that the people they would like to send messages. Then they use a kind of tools, which is the drawing, to explain their messages. When they are saying this camel, or the camel belongs to so to X or to Y, then they draw the camel. We didn't know it. Might be it's a kind of a commentation for a trade between themselves. This is another explanation. But we did like yes, we cannot go that far with this sorry. But if you are speaking about when people or the human being had started to write and to use that, we are sure it is about the 4th millennium BC. By the end of the 4th millennium, 3,200, 3,300, they had started to have so a kind of a syllabus, what we are saying, compose some of the head of the, what we call it, for instance, of the poem to say it is A. Or instead of writing date D, then you are drawing not the whole house. It's a shortage of the house. If we can have one of the slides, I will show you. This is the process of the writing. And then the Semitic languages, by the way, it's the same. I will give you just one example. If you are seeing in Arabic, the order of the writing. No, brother, because it is. If you are seeing the order of the alphabet in Arabic, it's not that far away from the order of the Latin or the other script. You are saying A, B, C, D, and you are saying Alif, Ba, Jim, Dal. It's the same. Which is a good indication that the origin of this script is coming from the Middle Eastern area. But that is in the second millennium BC, not in the fourth millennium. The fourth millennium they had started with the photograph, sending, so instead of writing Jim in Arabic, which is the first letter of camel, Jamal in Arabic, then they draw the camel. Later on, the head of the camel or a part of the camel with the gene. This is another story.
But the earliest Semitic texts they have, they go back to the first century.
Maximum 3rd century BC up to the 4th century.
They are dated from some events that are mentioned in the text.
Thank you.
About the people that the text represent. You know, David Graff has argued that because some of the Sophitic texts are found in the sedentary settled areas, he sees these people as being partly nomadic and partly sedentary. But then Michael McDonald says, yes, there are a few in the sedentary areas, but we know the tribes moved into the sedentary, into the agricultural zone on a seasonal basis. And since 99% are found in the desert, he sees the authors of the Sophitic text as being entirely nomadic, not partly settled and partly nomadic. I wondered how each of you felt about this question.
Well, we did find what we call Semitic, which is similar to the Semitic. It's Arabic, colloquial language of Arabic. The Arab, as explained by Ibn Manzur, they wrote by the letter what the tongue pronounced. And then sometimes they don't pronounce the L, sometimes they don't pronounce the vowel, soft vowel, unless the vowel is used as a consonant. So those are not usually used. So we found some of these large texts in Mata. But doesn't mean they are sedentary associated to when we have sedentary. We have one building which was in Rainbow with a stone, with text on it. And we find many other places people write on buildings that already existing. So we don't know really if this belongs to a settlement or not. You know. But for the one we found in Madam, as I wrote about it with Fawwaz, it indicates that the man was sick and he asked God for help for his health, and his name is Hanna or Hunayn, and there is Hanina near Madam. This possibly was the area where they were having a camp or so, but we have no for sure place that it is built by those people. We have one text in Wadi Ram. It's written on the back of a stone that was used in the temple of Elad. But it's not, doesn't say that the temple was built by the Semitic tribe, or what we call Semitic tribe.
Again, it's a debate. And everybody is suggesting something. We cannot say it's wrong, totally wrong, or totally right. Because the information which we gather from the inscription alone is not enough to have the real picture. But the other resources, we didn't have that much of information about those tribes or those people. If they are saying they were just Bedouin. We can have evidence for that from the inscription themselves. But if they are going to say that they were semi-Bedouin, we have evidence for that. If we are going to say they were trade people dealing with the Bedouin and with the, we have that. What I'm willing to say is that, from my experience, that actually this is like nowadays. You have official documents from the sedentary people who they are living in the cities and towns, and they make the history of the land or the history of the government or the kingdom or the sultanate, name it as you want. And you have the people whom they are living in their land, and they were educated people, and they should be educated for a very simple reason, not just one. 2-3 reasons for that. First, they were backing the government, living in the edge of the barrier or in the territory. And they were raising camels for the purpose of the trade and for the purpose of the military, for military purposes. And they were in contact all the time with the sedentary people because they are part of them. It is, we know it from the modern history, if you want to access, from the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century. I know it from my parents and grandfather. They used to go to the western part of Jordan and to Palestine during the summertime. But at the same time, during winter, they will go to the desert. This kind of migration between the areas. But they have a lot of friends in those sedentary or villages, etc., and they are in contact with them. They have a good relationship to the government. They know them, Sheikh X, Sheikh Y, and they have the contact with them. You can build in them. We have from the antiquities a very good example. Some of the people there, we have to mention it. It is the Amir tribe in southern Arabia. It was a barbarous state between southern Arabia and middle Arabia, if you want. And we have a lot of documentation, thanks to this, a lot of inscriptions. It is the same, and it goes back to the 2nd century, 1st century AD or BC to the 4th century AD, the date of the inscription. There, we have good evidence, good archaeological and inscription writing evidence. We can compare it with that. So it's still up to there.
Yes, sir.
Are they being intrigued by the multiple text inscriptions? You know, you have the stones that have 5, you said up to 5 different hands. Are those 5 texts somehow interrelated by theme, by person, by tribe? I mean, can you have a person from one tribe using a stone?
Yes, some of them are, some are not. Some, like you see, one person added, this happened in the big rock, it's a very simple service, where each one wrote. So one of the texts is one of 5. It's similar to another stone that we found separately. Exactly the same name to the same person is dedicated, and the same text almost, you know, but the end changed. But those they can be related, but not completely all the time. There is one who is completely stranger who wrote on the same rock where we have the 5 together.
I wonder if this is a sort of form of pilgrimage that people go back again and again and try
They
to
do.
find these stones and produce the story and, you know.
They do. I asked a tribe in Iraq, in Nineveh area, up in the north, said where they were asked by the government to settle at the time, Saddam. And I asked him, where is their route? He said, we come from Saudi Arabia. I said, how long it takes you? He said, 3 years. So they would come, but they won't come all in one shot. They will be groups following each other on the same route. And so they will pass in by the same place that they know it from the marks they always describe each other.
Thank you.
May I suggest that white cow has nothing to do with cow. It's Naha.
والدكتور.
بقر الوحش هو المهن نفسها. ولذلك هذا الشعب يشبه المرأة ببقر الوحش أو بالمهن كما فعل الشعب.
بالنعجة. كانت عنهم نلاحظ كثير الأسامي الكيمياء بيسموها عند العرب كانوا يكتبوا بكذا وكذا وكذا. في عندنا مجموعة كبيرة من الأسماء اللي كانوا يعرفوها. نحن بعدنا لهلا بنقول عينيها حلوين كمثل عينين المها. نوصفها بالغزال كمان.
وإذا تذكر الشاعر علي بن الجهم هو بدوي فلها صورة الخلافة العباسية في الرقة. قال له أنت كالكلب في الوفاء وكالجيس في القراء. فأعود في رسول الخلافة عاما حتى قال
من الأبيات الثانية
رسول الخلافة.
بس هلا ما بقينا إلا بعد يبقى على
حبيت تقول الابيات المشهوره اللي بعديها صار في بيت الخلافه وقال عرف المهنه مثلا كيف هو قال البيت الاول والقصيده الاولى ولا قال هذا الشعر لطيف في المره.
دكتور معلش بالعربي I can express myself in English. السؤال اللي بتسأله انه النقوش اللي على الصخور ليش مش يعني ما فيها اهتمام زي النقوش والرسومات اللي في لاسكور بشمال اسبانيا وجنوب فرنسا كيفز ارت. يعني في عندنا ارت ونقول نقوش في شيء. اثنين بتعلق انه احنا الكاركتر واحد يصير معه حادث الضغط يقول لك هذا رجل فلان فرجل فلان يعني فلان ما انذبح فوق فحطوا على الرجم فالرجم يعني كلمة مألوف لحد الآن أبوي كان يقولها. بدي مقارنة بعدين في شيء بين الرسوم الفرعونية القديمة 5000 سنة البريمتيف دروينجز وفي ايجيبشن ارت والرسومات اللي شفناها هلا فوز شكرا.
No, they are different, but it has also a beginning everything. And this work on these things, it's very new, it's not very old. People are not numerous who are interested in this kind of text. But now it's becoming day after day, and for this site that I showed you, it is thousands of them. And when I talked to Her Majesty Queen Noor when we saw it in the Senate picture, she wanted to have to do something to protect it. And now we're thinking with معالي وزير البيئة الإيراني خالد. We're going to do something by using the valley itself, the water course, local can compress it, except in one place. That can be a by itself. But we are scared of these stone diggers. They go in the desert. They go with plow and find these big boulders and they bring them to the stone cutter. It's very rare. It is part other way about your Rajl. الرجل كان هو أساس أرجع الرجل بالإسلام كان جمرات يسموها جمرات العرب كانت ذاتية يعني يحطوا الحجار عبارة عن الترابط بينهم قال لما يصير شيء يجوا كلهم يصيروا يحطوا حجار يعملوا هذا نظرا للقربة اللي تجمعهم والنوع منها هذه إلى دخل بالموضوع الرجل كمان كذكرى لأنه مش دائما أبر الرجل أبرنا الرجل كله ما لقينا ولا أبر أبرنا
بالجبال ملفوفة
Thank you very much for the afternoon, Mr. Suha, for the exhibition, for the lecture, for the series of lecture. Thank you very much.